guys, welcome to Brian's Man Cave. Today's flick pick, I'm going to be talking about a movie that I watched a lot as a teenager, and it's one of those movies that I think a lot of people kind of know it exists, but they don't fully understand what it is, and this is Spinal Tap. Now, this movie came out in the early 80s, 82, 83, and it was right around the time when heavy metal was really big, and a lot of people were listening to heavy metal. It was kind of the new wave of music that was going around. And this movie kind of came out, and a lot of people didn't really know what to make of it. I mean, they thought, first of all, they thought it was real, which it's obviously not. It's a movie, and because it's done in a documentary style. It's done like camera crew following around a band, which is kind of unusual for that time period to have a movie like this. And so I can see why there would have been some confusion. The actors in it, all great actors. It was directed by Rob Reiner. So the three main actors, you got Michael McKean, Christopher Guest, and Harry Shearer. They actually write and play the music. So that's also what added to this confusion, because they're actually talented performers, and they actually wrote they wrote all the songs in here. They performed them on the stage, they performed them live, and used it for the movie. And that's pretty interesting. I mean, they even went on to create their own album about 10 years later called Break Like the Wind. And this actually just got released as an album. And so, and it's not bad. I mean, I used to listen to this all the time. I still pop it in the CD player and stuff. Not this, it's a cassette, obviously. But I still play it on my CD player. Even the soundtrack, which was released along with it, it's not too bad if you like the songs in the movie. I would definitely say that Break Like the Wind was actually a far better album. And there was a follow-up movie, which I don't think a lot of people really know exists, and that's called The Return of Spinal Tap. And so this came out, again, I think this came out with the album. It's more video footage, concert footage than it is movie, but they do insert little bits and pieces to show you where the band members are and what they're doing, and they kind of keep the same comedic tones as the first one. So in the movie, they go through a series of unfortunate incidences, events. Usually it ends up being bad. Nothing seems to go right. They seem like they're cursed. And I believe that this is kind of basing it on what actually happened to some real performers out there, like Ozzy Osbourne. And, a lot of the touring bands ran into a lot of these problems that happened in the movie. Like, there's a scene where they can't find the stage, and they're wandering around backstage, and they're going in circles, and they're going through doors, and they keep passing the same janitor who keeps telling them the stage is that way, and they're like, rock and roll, and they can't find the stage. It's kind of funny. There's another scene where they perform a song called Stonehenge, and the guitar player, Nigel Tufnell, who's played by Christopher Guest, writes down he kind of sketches out how he wants this monument of Stonehenge to look like, and he confuses inches with feet. So then you get this tiny little Stonehenge drop from the ceiling onto the stage, and these little dwarf guys are dancing around this thing, and they tower over it, and so does the band. So it just becomes this big goof. There's plenty of classic scenes in this movie where there's one where Nigel Tufnell is showing off his amplifier, and it goes to 11, and he gets so confused trying to explain it to the director, who is actually Rob Reiner, that this goes to 11, and Rob Reiner's like, well, why don't you just make 10 the loudest, and then 10 can be your maximum, and he's like, well, these go to 11. So it's kind of like it's one of those things where you have to watch it to understand where the humor comes from. So as far as the members of the band are concerned, I mean, they kind of do this running joke where they can never seem to keep a drummer. And they talk about all the previous drummers and how they die and get blown up in the stage, spontaneously combust. One had a gardening accident, one choked on vomit. And I think it's kind of relating to some of the real bands out there that run into the same problems with members that just, you know, either die from alcohol problems or they die from accidents or whatever. And so it's a continuous thing with them. So all through the movie, like, they seem to have this one drummer, but he blows up at the end, and then they get a new one right at the end, which is interesting. The actors that play them, like, they're all very talented, and you know, so Michael McKean, he's been in a lot of movies. Like, I see him every once in a while. He just appears. He usually is a side character. He was very popular when he was on Laverne and Shirley, which is, you know, going back some time. But he's done a lot of work since then. He just kind of shows up. Christopher Guest, very talented, does a lot of directing, a lot of writes music. I think he's mostly a director now. I don't think he really does a lot of acting. And there's Harry Shearer, who we all would know him from The Simpsons. He plays Mr. Burns and Smithers, I believe, and a whole ton of other characters. I mean, he's like the main voice on The Simpsons half the time. And that's probably why there was a Simpsons episode with Spinal Tap on it, which I think also had to do with this album's release. Again, this is where it added to a lot of the confusion that Spinal Tap was real. And I remember not on this, I don't believe it's on this one. This is the DVD release, came out not that long ago, a special edition thing. But I remember renting this in the store, and you know, this is going back like the early 90s. I remember renting, and at the end of it, it had this piece where it was talking about all their previous albums and you know, things like that. And then at the end, it's like, the following movie is not real, the following characters are not real, neither is Spinal Tap. And I think they had to put that in there because a lot of people were actually thinking that they were real, or that, you know, the characters were real and this band actually existed. And they were probably getting a lot of questions like, why can't we find their albums in the stores? And, you know, all you can find is this, which is just the companion to this. So, you know, it's kind of interesting that people were actually fooled by this mockumentary, that this band is real. Yeah, so anyways, I would definitely, if you're into music, if you're into comedy, you got to give this guy a shot. There's a lot of companions to it. I mean, there are the tape. Well, this is the tape. There's the tapes. There's the Return of Spinal Tap. A little bit harder to find, I think, nowadays. I had to like really search this out. And just when you think that they were going to go away, I mean, they came back again with another actual released album called Back from the Dead. And this one's not too bad. I mean, it's got a lot of re-releases from the original one, which, you know, I guess I would call it the Black Album, but, you know, there's Metallica has the Black Album. But this, I mean, this is not bad. I mean, it's got this fold-out piece where you can put the characters all up. Oh, CD fell out. And yeah, it turns into this huge display. I haven't actually pulled it all out and done all that because I'm afraid I probably won't be able to put it back together. But, you know, it looks kind of cool. I just bought it just because, you know, it's Spinal Tap, why not? I believe that they were still touring for a while. This was 2009 when this came out, and they were kind of doing some tours at the time. And they even did an unwigged episode or series where they took their wigs off and they just performed as themselves. And I actually believe it was called Unplugged as well, Unwigged and Unplugged. I wasn't too crazy about that, but I mean, I just like the original movie. It's definitely a classic, and you should check it out. Anyways, thanks for watching. Let me know if you've heard of this, if you like the band, or if you like the movie. Subscribe, and talk to you later.